Welcome to A Tip for the Ride. My name is Alice Trindle. This is Tilly. She's here to help me out today. And this is part 2 in a series of articles we're doing for winter horse play. Looking at how you can use work in hand to go out and play with your horse to accomplish self-carriage and self-confidence and a small amount of time and still have good quality horse time as you do. This is part 2 in the series. In part 1, we reviewed your positioning for developing a rein triangle with the work in hand, and also this shoulder in on a circle or sideways on a circle with you being the pivot point, the post, the horse stepping around you, and then carrying that out a little bit on a bigger circle. Today we're going to carry that now, instead of on a circle, into a little bigger square, using that outside rein as a bit of a half halt, a bit of a excuse me, a bit of a suggestion. Let's balance up, then let's go on with the movement, and then carry that out to the wall for a nice backup. So let's get started on the next step in this series of dances we can do in a work in hand posture. Let's review for just a second your rein triangle. I'm going to put a little down pressure on side 1, find my whip hand, and a little down pressure on side 2 to be able to shorten up the rein over here and establish my outside, my balance, my supportive rein. And side 3, my hand comes in and just caresses here at the corner of the mouth like I'm holding my rein as if it was the teat of the cow, just a little squeeze. And I'm looking for a few wrinkles here in her jowl and a little bit of her eye to look here towards me. And notice how she's picking herself up, preparing her body to be able to do a nice movement. In part 1, we carried this around on a circle where the horse carried its balance from the inside to the out, inside hip to outside shoulder, left hip to right shoulder, while you basically stayed in one spot and just pivoted on the foot that is closest to the horse's nose. Then we began to carry that out a bit on a bigger circle, where my shoulders changed, pivoted, came in more underneath her nostrils, and my toes began to point the direction I wanted her to go, and my shoulders gave her the feeling of where she needed to move. We carried that on a nice big circle. Today I want to start thinking of this as a square. As I come to a point, I'll put a little down pressure on the outside rein and the hip comes underneath, and then I walk forward and a little bit, turning my toes to ask her to walk forward. A little half halt, a little down pressure on the outside rein, and then my toes pick up that new line where I'd like her to go to. As I finish up here, I'm going to carry this energy forward on the diagonal to the wall, step in front of my horse, and ask her to carry that back just a little bit. As I step here, I'll step with the foot that is closest to the center of the arena, pivot, and then walk off with my horse. Asking her a little here to stretch over her top line, nice and soft. As we start the whole sequence over again, I'm going to see in my mind's eye that as I walk out next time, I could walk out with her in my hand with just only one hand. And to develop that, I'm going to show you that ahead of time so that you have a feel for where I'm headed. So if I wanted to develop my rein triangle and hold it in only one hand, I could do exactly the same, except I won't need to have my whip in that hand. There's the reins when they're pretty loose. A little down pressure there on side 2 to be able to establish that outside rein. Now watch what I'll do here. I'm going to hook the rein over my thumb and run that side 2 between my little finger and my ring finger. I'll bring side 3 in to my hand. As I put a little down pressure here, it makes a suggestion on that side 1, and the horse gets soft in the bridle. Now let's see how that looks if I ask her to carry this forward here. Turn my shoulders early. A little half halt. Off we go. A little half halt, and off we go. I can reach behind a little with my whip, ask her to go forward, ask her to go a little sideways here. Now a little pressure in that outside rein, a little heaviness in my hand, and off we go. If the horse starts to push down, reach behind you with your whip, lift up her, and a little tap on her belly right here, just to say to pick herself up into that rein. Half halt and turn my shoulders. We'll carry this forward and sideways. My feet will do the same thing I'm asking her feet to do. That looks nice. We'll ride out and forward. Ask her to stretch a bit over her top line and back to that bolero kind of a feel. To stretch downward, down, down, down. I could do the same here with her. Asking her to stretch. Going back to the beginning where she says, "Oh, thanks, we just did a little bit of work. Now I can stretch out here." Straighten up, back up. Very good. Excellent. Good. There you have it. That's part 2. Let's review for just a minute what those dance steps were. Always go back and start with the ones that you used previously. Number 1, start with the bolero. Number 2, establish your rein triangle and develop that outside supportive rein, that suggested rein, that rein that says, I'm ready to go. Good self-carriage, what are we going to do? Good positive attitude. Number 3, ask them to step around you, sideways on a circle, shoulder in on a circle, where you're basically a post and they pivot around you. Step 4, carry that out on a much bigger circle. There you get to go for the ride with them. You get to dance along with them. Your shoulders mimicking what you're asking of their shoulders. Your toes giving direction of where you'd like to have them go. Number 4 or 5, I think I've forgotten where we were. Think about that with a little bit more of a square geometry, so that you ride to a point, you come sideways to a point, sideways and forward to a point, put a little suggestion in your outside rein, and the hip comes underneath, then pick up that new line. Think more in straight lines and a more of a square. Finally, carry that out on your diagonal to the wall, step in front of the shoulder, back them up a bit, do a little pivot as you come out. See if you can develop your rein triangle with one hand rather than in two.